Hey everybody, it's Peter Coffin, and about a year ago, YouTubers started having a crisis. Burnout, plagiarism, AI, it all came up. Now, if you looked at all the titles and words that these creators were using, you'd think, oh, there's a big problem with plagiarism on YouTube. And god damn it, this new AI thing sure is exacerbating it. Now, the crisis was originally pointed out by the YouTube left, BreadTube, H-Bomber Guy to be specific, with his video, Plagiarism and YouTube. Now, that video is a 4-hour video on a number of creators, but they're ultimately used to sort of focus all of the attention on a guy named James Somerton, who was creating content fairly quickly in the queer media analysis space. And he was generally regarded as an overall menace who was harming the community of creators he was participating in. Now, the critique of Somerton focused on the fact that he didn't cite things, he would repeat things he read in articles, sometimes entirely verbatim. And over the last year, we've seen the panic continue to escalate. And now H-Bomb kind of started a trend of plagiarism call-out videos. That became a big thing. It still is a big thing, as we'll see in a few moments. But the other half of the YouTube crisis has to do with scale. You see, in order to maintain a YouTube channel's growth, in order to compete with an expanding niche where more creators are making more videos, you have to scale, meaning you have to be able to create more content or bigger content, which means bringing in more people to work on your content, basically creating a company. And at around the same time this plagiarism moral panic was popping off last year, a bunch of high-profile YouTubers quit or scaled back significantly, the most prominent of which being MatPat, who retired from video making at the height of his dominance. Another high-profile example from the time was Tom Scott, who didn't quit YouTube, but scaled back pretty significantly because he didn't want to scale up. Now, this duo provides an interesting dichotomy. MatPat had already built an empire. He had scaled. And to be frank, he was kind of tired of running everything. So he sold the entire game theory empire. Tom Scott, on the other hand, did not want to scale because he did not want to continue to expand his operations. He wanted to continue doing this because it's something that's fun for him. And scaling to him did not sound fun. That's, of course, simplifying it a little bit. You can watch his video if you really want to see the entirety of his reasoning. I'm boiling it down there. Now, this is all happening against the backdrop of AI becoming a huge thing. As you know, I care about AI a great deal. I use AI a significant amount, not to write, not to create scripts, not to think, but to organize. I think that it's extremely important. I also use AI to make music videos for my band, That Darn Racket. More on that in the coming year. But I generally think that AI is an important and unavoidable development in society that is just going to continue to get bigger and bigger. And that's got these people shitting their pants. Just recently, it was shown that 150,000 TV scripts had been used to train large language models, and that really pissed off, obviously, TV writers, but also TV fans who view this as stealing of content. Now, I'm going to tell you why that isn't the stealing of content in a few minutes, and I'm also going to show you how this crisis has progressed. I'm also going to tell you what's actually going on and why it matters, at least according to what I think. So to get things rolling, I'm going to bring up a video that at time of recording was uploaded 3 days ago by a YouTuber I actually really like called Blooms. Blooms is a South Park analysis channel, which, if you know anything about me, that is right up my alley. I love South Park, and I love taking comedy extremely seriously and digging into the actual implications of it. To me, comedy, and really just art in general, it is a form of communication. It is not, as we will get into later, property. Or at least it shouldn't be property. It should be a conversation. So Blooms uploaded a video called "This South Park YouTuber," in quotes, "has been lying to you." I'll let Blooms set it up for you.
Over the past 2 months, I've been doing some digging. I've spent countless hours searching through old Facebook posts, private courses, and even going undercover to try to put the pieces of this puzzle together. All of this exhaustive research, the hours upon hours spent searching for the missing pieces, all to uncover the truth behind a South Park video essay channel that just felt off.
Yeah, so you probably recognize that intro from literally every single plagiarism video, or really just any YouTube video about the creator discovering something. I mean, if they really cared about stealing content that much, they could probably come up with a new intro for this type of video rather than use the one that everyone else has already used. Whatever.
And during this research, I might have accidentally uncovered a network of thousands of channels doing the exact same thing, lying, deceiving, and manipulating their viewers, all in the name of making a quick buck.
Wow, it's really sounding familiar, honestly. You know what? Let's ask Kyle Hill, who made the exact same video a year ago in reference to science content.
The problem is an epidemic of mis- and misleading content made to scam your attention, written and read by bots created by probably nefarious individuals for monetary gain alone.
Oh my God, how deep does the rabbit hole go?
And I wasn't initially planning on making this video. I don't like drama or calling people out or any of that stuff, but this was different. This was personal.
And being the scienceman that I am, I take that personally.
Oh, but I don't want to make drama content. This certainly isn't about kicking up conflict for the sake of views and likes and engagement, ultimately benefiting my channel and myself, financially speaking. No, this is personal. At this point, this is a genre of video, and every single one of them goes exactly the same way. It's basically some guy gets a vendetta against some channel and then uncovers a big scary network or finds the big bad to point at and say, oh, that's the main thing. It's got to stop. If we stop that, then everything's fine. And then they harass that person off the internet, and it doesn't fix anything at all because that's not what the problem is. Oh, and it's also so regrettable that this could ever possibly be interpreted as drama content.
For a very long time, I didn't want to make the video because I didn't want to get in drama. I didn't want this to be a whole thing.
I have functionally made a drama video about some guy.
This sort of thing is not only severely damaging communities, it is damaging YouTube as a whole.
I don't think these channels and the videos they're in are actually the equivalent of just trash TV or tabloids. I think these channels are actively harmful.
I have a responsibility at this point as someone who cares a lot about this community.
And I think what makes me happiest in the world is feeling like I might have helped some people with that.
These people aren't being deceptive. They likely truly do think that this is about plagiarism. But you can hear in the way that they talk about how it's destroying their community what it's actually about.
These are cash grabs, and worse than that, they are cash grabs that siphon your attention away from better things.
While James takes all the oxygen for himself to promote only himself, they can't compete on volume.
And this is going to saturate the market with inferior products.
Now, I am not saying that these people are being deceptive, at least not all of them and not automatically so. I do think that they are actually talking about plagiarism and what they think plagiarism is doing to the YouTube community, or specifically their niches community. At the same time, the YouTubers quitting videos. I don't think those videos are disingenuous. In fact, I think they're quite genuine. I think these people really do mean every word that they say. But if you listen to how these creators talk about how their niche or community is being destroyed,
and this is going to saturate the market with inferior products,
you can see what this is actually about. And here's me from a year ago to explain.
And I think there's actually two primary reactions to this phenomenon, the oversaturation of the content market. The first one we've covered is quitting, and the second one is calling out plagiarism. Quitting or shifting focus, I'm going to regard as the sad reaction, and calling out plagiarism, I'm going to regard as the mad reaction. I worked really hard to get to the top, and now it's changing. I earned this. I'm the real creator, man. You aren't, you AI using hack, you little plagiarizing bitch. Why do you think that you're a real creator? I'm the real creator.
So these are reactions to market saturation. There's a lot of content, a lot of competition, and whether you're talking about plagiarism or you're talking about scaling, the problem you're ultimately addressing is that there's a whole lot of content out there that's making it harder for you to get all of the views. Now, Karl Marx actually talked about this a whole lot. Which is interesting because this moral panic kind of started on the left, which is traditionally associated with Karl Marx, who is well known, maybe not correctly so, for calling to abolish private property. Now, that isn't exactly what Crazy Karl meant. He was talking about private property not in the sense that we do today, like today you would mean like your toothbrush and your PS5, this is all your property. He was talking about the means of production specifically. So I think in order for us to reference what Karl Marx talked about properly, we have to use productive property as opposed to private property. Even that's kind of an oversimplification, but we need an understanding here that when we're talking about property, we're talking about something that generates value. The real problem is twofold. Firstly, in that instead of rewarding the labor that goes into the creation of the content, the system is set up to reward the owner of the winning content, the content that gets the views, where in reality, value is created via labor. The second is a problem that we at the Center for Political Innovation have recently been calling the value crisis. Karl Marx referred to it as the crisis of overproduction. And once again, here's me describing that a year ago.
It's a problem of the distribution of value in terms of production, as well as automation. The people who create value never get that value in full. They're always paid a portion of it. So that means the value that's actually out circulating after value is generated is usually less. But when you bring in automation, you make it possible to make more of the thing that's considered valued, but with less human involvement, which is why something has value. If something takes an hour for me to make by hand, it's valuable in a way that the exact same thing 3D printed isn't. So you have less value concentrated among the class that does most of the consuming, and you have the ability to make more stuff. That's obviously a contradiction. It's not good. It's basically the main problem of capitalism. There's a book called Fascism and Social Revolution by R. Palm Dutt that basically says degrowth, what we're calling now. It wasn't called degrowth back in 1934 when this book was written. Degrowing the economy, making it so that we produce less, scaling back the apparatus of production, the machinery, destroying automation. These types of measures alleviate that crisis because it shifts the economy in a manner that compensates for it.
So here's the problem. Automation is inevitable. AI is a genie that will not go back into the bottle. And it was always going to come out of the bottle, too. As long as history progresses and technology is improved upon, there's always going to be automation in the future. And in an economy that has been rationally set up, this automation is not a threat to people. In fact, instead of destroying their lives and jobs, it puts them into a situation where the labor that they engage in is entirely their choice. It is ultimately a creative endeavor rather than a requisite endeavor that one must engage in, whether one likes to or not, in order to live, to have a home, to buy groceries, etc. If we were in a higher stage economy, we would not see AI as a threat. We would see it as a means to democratize the creation of media, whether that media be text, images, video, anything. It would be something that is able to bypass the tedium, the stuff that isn't really creative, to make something creative. Similarly, if labor was what was rewarded in the creation process, a plagiarist would not get as much out of it, and there would not be as much incentive to plagiarize. But that's not the situation we live in. We live in a situation where the owner of the winning property in a zero-sum game reaps the reward. It's not just YouTube, though. We've similarly seen a huge meltdown when it was shown that about 150,000 TV episode scripts have been used to train large language models. It's made everybody mad because now all TV is just going to be slop. Now, the implication of being mad there, being upset that this has happened, is that it shouldn't be allowed to watch a bunch of TV and then become a TV writer. All that stuff that you learned about how a TV episode goes together, how a joke works, how a punchline draws on the tension set up by the setup, yeah, that's property. Make tropes intellectual property. Make tropes copyrightable. Make tropes. Really, when that large language model trained on that script makes a quote unquote new script, it's doing the same thing that a kid like, let's say, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino does, watching a million movies and TV shows and it informing their script. Now, the difference is that AI does not live a human life. It does not have taste. It does not have sensibilities. It simply has a description of a bunch of aspects of a bunch of finished works to draw from. Quentin Tarantino is a good director because he has observed all of those things and filtered it through his life experience, his tastes, his sensibilities. And this is why, as I said earlier, I do not use AI purely to create something. Because if you did that, you'd make something that sucks a lot. This is something that all of these creators complaining about AI and plagiarism know already. That saturation of the market is happening because there's a bunch of shitty, low-quality content coming in droves. But I think they're really undermining themselves. They're making themselves look pretty weak, actually, by seeing this big abundance of shitty content as a threat. Yes, the algorithm might sometimes temporarily promote that content, but ultimately it is dreck. It sucks. It's not good. And as such, as much as yes, sometimes there are going to be people who watch the dreck, the majority of people who actually care about something that's good and draws from real experience, hard-hitting analysis, something that brings something new to them, they're going to want the good content. For instance, as I said, I am a longtime subscriber of Bloom's. I find their content to be very good. And I've also watched content from Carrick Artman, the channel that Bloom's is calling out as AI plagiarism. There is an abundance of that content, so much of it. And I came across it and watched it. And do you know what I did long before anything like this was said about Carrick Artman by Bloom's? I watched a couple Carrick Artman videos and I thought, oh, this sucks compared to Bloom's. Beyond that, in my Discord, someone who was talking about this very subject brought this up to me specifically. The master of chinlocking, who, by the way, just, can we give it up for that username? The master of chinlocking found Bloom's through Carrick Artman. The master of chinlocking watched Carrick Artman. The algorithm recommended him Bloom's, who he found superior, and continued watching Bloom's. Now, I am not telling you that I am a believer that the market will always deliver you the best product. But if you are a believer in that, these things should not be seen as a threat. They should, in fact, be seen as an opportunity. If somebody gets sucked into the algorithm that involves these videos, your videos will very likely be shown to them, Bloom's. And your videos are a lot better. And that's generally how algorithms are supposed to work. Unless the video goes against the interests of the algorithm and the person who owns the algorithm and has set up the algorithm, it is designed to bring you the content that will keep you on the site best. For the master of chinlocking, that was ultimately Bloom's. Why? Because Bloom's analysis of South Park is good. He's able to filter the concepts that are discussed in South Park through his life experience and draw conclusions that are interesting. Again, I have seen Carrick Artman's videos and I did not get sucked into them because they suck. They are, I mean, all of the stuff that Bloom says about how these videos aren't good is true, except for the fact that he thinks that it's an AI narrator. It's not. But everything else is correct. That channel sucks. It's boring. It says nothing that feels new to me or resonates with me emotionally. It's not a good channel. And you are not, in the long term, threatened by these AI slop videos. And these moral panics, as I said, are a genre unto themselves, a genre that kicks up a bunch of moral outrage that benefits the creator significantly. It is a drama video, and drama videos do very well because drama is interesting. It brings a conflict to us that's all told fairly low stakes. It's not something that is life-threatening, and at the same time, it gives us a side to root for. And to be able to make that kind of content about what is perceived as a serious issue instead of basically just dunking on unfortunate people who you might call chuds or lolcows or shit libs or whatever, well, that's just pretty enticing. It's basically free views, free engagement, free money, free sympathy, free investment emotionally in the mission of the channel. Why, this is the real guy doing this stuff. All that other stuff, that's the fake guy. Those creators aren't creators. They're consumers in sheep's clothing. I am not making this video to shit on Blooms, although I think that some of the things he has done here with this video make him look like a massive pussy. I actually want to recommend him pretty significantly. If you like South Park and you like media analysis, Blooms is, I mean, fantastic. Really, really good stuff. I watch all the time. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, but what do you have for me, right? There's buttons down here. I want you to lick them, slurp all over them. I want you to become a subscriber. And at the same time, I would really like it if you would money me over on patreon.com/PeterCoffin. If you want to watch more content from me, my documentaries are up here. More videos like this one are down here. I hope you got something out of this. I hope it helped or mattered in some way. And I hope you have a great day, a great week, a great year for that matter. Bye.